Once upon a chilling autumn evening in the small town of Riverview, there was a young girl named Emma. Emma was a sweet, innocent child with an infectious smile and an adventurous spirit that matched her curious green eyes. One of Emma's most cherished possessions was a red-headed doll named Rosie. Rosie was a gift from Emma's grandmother, who had passed away shortly after giving it to her. The doll had silky, fiery red hair and an enchanting smile that seemed to radiate warmth. Rosie wore modern clothes, a cute pink t-shirt adorned with a glittering heart, denim jeans with an embroidered flower, and tiny white sneakers with delicate laces. Emma carried Rosie everywhere she went, and the two were inseparable, sharing countless whispered secrets and giggles. One fateful day, Emma was playing with her friends in the neighborhood when she accidentally broke a window in a neighbor's house. The shattering glass and the neighbor's scream were like a haunting symphony to her ears. Her mother, Susan, was furious and decided that it was time for Emma to learn a lesson. As a punishment, Susan confiscated Rosie from Emma and told her she would throw the doll away. "But Mom, please don't throw Rosie away. She's my best friend," Emma pleaded, tears streaming down her cheeks as she clung to her mother's leg. "I'm sorry, Emma, but you need to learn that actions have consequences," Susan replied sternly, her voice a mixture of disappointment and determination. That night, Susan took Rosie out to the trash bin behind their cozy little house and discarded the doll, feeling a strange sense of guilt as she did so. The once blue sky was now shrouded in darkness, with only the silvery moon casting a faint glow on the ground. The wind blew through the trees, its mournful whispers echoing in Susan's ears as she closed the lid of the trash bin. Later that night, as Emma sobbed quietly in her bed, the wind began to pick up, whistling eerily through the trees. The town of Riverview was engulfed in a sinister darkness that seemed to seep into every crevice and corner. Suddenly, the trash bin lid creaked open, and Rosie, the discarded doll, emerged, her once innocent eyes now filled with a sinister intent that mirrored the darkness around her. Rosie entered the house through a small window left ajar in the kitchen, her tiny sneakers scuffling softly on the cold tile floor. The house, once full of warmth and love, now felt like a tomb, suffocating in its silence. Rosie made her way upstairs, her movements deliberate and slow, as if she was savoring each moment. She stopped outside Susan's bedroom, her eyes narrowing as she listened to the sound of Susan's steady breathing, interspersed with the distant howl of the wind. Quietly, Rosie pushed open the door and approached the sleeping mother. The dim moonlight streamed through the window, casting eerie shadows across the room. Susan, her chest rising and falling gently, was oblivious to the looming threat. Rosie's once smiling face now twisted into a terrifying grin. The doll raised her tiny hands and clutched Susan's throat, choking the life out of her. Susan's eyes shot open, filled with terror and confusion, as she struggled and gasped for air. But Rosie's grip was unrelenting, her tiny fingers like a vice. Within moments, Susan lay lifeless on the bed, her eyes wide with terror, her final, silent scream forever etched on her face. Satisfied with her gruesome deed, Rosie crept into Emma's room. The young girl slept peacefully, her chestnut hair splayed across her pillow, unaware of the horror that had just occurred. Rosie climbed onto the bed and snuggled into Emma's arms, her twisted grin softening as she returned to her familiar place. The once chaotic room, filled with the echoes of Emma's laughter, was now silent and cold, the lingering darkness pressing in from all sides. The next morning, Emma awoke to find Rosie in her arms, her face now displaying a seemingly innocent smile. Overjoyed, Emma hugged Rosie tightly, relief washing over her as she realized that her beloved doll had somehow returned to her. "Rosie, I'm so happy you're back. I promise I'll never let anyone take you away again," Emma whispered, her eyes filling with tears of joy as she stroked the doll's fiery red hair. Holding Rosie tightly, Emma left her bedroom, excited to tell her mother about the doll's miraculous return. However, upon entering her mother's room, Emma's joy turned to heartbreak. She discovered Susan's lifeless body, eyes wide open in terror, and a cold chill ran down her spine. "Mommy, no, what happened?" Emma cried, her voice shaking as she clutched Rosie even tighter. The police were called, and they quickly concluded that Susan had been strangled in her sleep. The town of Riverview was horrified by the gruesome murder, but no one suspected the red-headed doll in Emma's arms. As the years went by, Emma grew up believing that an unknown intruder had taken her mother away from her. Rosie remained her closest companion, her sinister secret hidden behind an innocent smile. As Emma entered high school, Rosie remained her constant companion, even though her classmates teased her for still clinging to a childhood toy. Emma didn't care. Rosie was more than just a doll to her. She was a link to her past, a reminder of her grandmother, and the one constant in her ever-changing life. One day, as Emma was getting ready for school, she noticed that Rosie's eyes seemed to flicker for a brief moment, a spark of something unsettling and unfamiliar. She shook her head, assuming that her imagination was playing tricks on her. "Rosie, you're getting old, just like me," Emma chuckled as she tightened the doll's worn shoelaces, their once white color now a faded gray. That night, as Emma lay in bed with Rosie tucked under her arm, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was amiss. She tossed and turned, unable to find a comfortable position. The wind howled outside, and the darkness seemed to press in on her from all sides, suffocating her with its weight. Suddenly, she heard a faint whisper in her ear. "Emma," the voice hissed, "it's time you knew the truth." Emma bolted upright, her heart pounding in her chest. She glanced around the room but saw nothing amiss. Then she turned her gaze to Rosie, who stared back at her with an eerie intensity. "What do you mean, Rosie?" Emma whispered, her voice trembling. "What truth?" Slowly, Rosie's tiny mouth opened, and the doll spoke in a voice that was both chilling and familiar. "I am the one who took your mother's life, Emma," she confessed, her words dripping with malice. Emma stared at Rosie in disbelief, her heart breaking as the truth finally surfaced. She had spent her entire life loving and protecting this doll, only to discover that it had been her mother's killer all along. "Why, Rosie, why did you do it?" Emma sobbed, tears streaming down her cheeks as she gazed into the doll's cold, unfeeling eyes. "Your mother wanted to take me away from you, Emma. I couldn't let that happen. You are mine, and I will protect you at all costs," Rosie replied, her voice cold and emotionless, the sinister glint in her eyes unwavering. Emma's grief quickly turned to anger, and she threw Rosie across the room, her voice rising in fury. "You're a monster, Rosie. I never want to see you again." But Rosie was not so easily defeated. The doll lay on the floor, her twisted smile unbroken, her eyes fixed on Emma. As the years passed, Rosie continued to appear in Emma's life, haunting her dreams and tormenting her waking hours. Though Emma tried to destroy Rosie, she would always return, her sinister smile and chilling laughter a constant reminder of the terrible secret they shared. The once happy, carefree girl was now consumed by fear and guilt, unable to escape the ever-present gaze of the red-headed doll. Emma's friendships dwindled, her laughter faded, and her once bright future seemed to grow dimmer with each passing day. And as Emma's life spiraled into darkness and despair, Rosie continued to watch from the shadows, her twisted love for Emma undying and unrelenting, her deadly secret forever locked within the heart of a once innocent, red-headed doll. The chilling legacy of Rosie's revenge lived on, the memory of Susan's demise serving as a haunting reminder of the dark, sinister force that had claimed her life. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more true scary stories.